Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another Last Epoch dev stream. As usual, I'm your host, Mike. Hello! How's it going, everybody? How you feeling? How you living? How you holding up? I hope it's wonderful. We're gonna play some Last Epoch. If this is your first time here, we like to have some fun, play Last Epoch, answer some questions, see what we can learn. If this is your first time here, welcome. Glad to have you with us. We stream for charity. Boom, right above my head. And if you have any questions, please put at Last Epoch Game in chat so I see your question. Actually, we do have our wonderful that is gonna be help me out. So I can see these questions. Hi, Aaron. Hi. And we're just gonna roll through some campaign stuff here while we're doing this. Don't remember exactly where we were. We are rocking the world's worst leveling primalist. We're doing all the reject skills that don't have a place to hang out. Showing them some love, but it's fun. lots of minion action, trying to go some poison stuff. Really, it's really loud for you. We're also gonna do something a little bit different this week. I've got a few teasers to share, but at some point during the stream, we'll be putting up a poll to find out which of the teasers you'd like to see. So I've got a few, and we're gonna let you guys decide which ones you want to see. So we'll give you just a little one-liner on what it is, the options, and you'll find out. Community wants to know when you're gonna trim my beard. I trimmed it a few weeks ago. You can usually tell by the length of my mustache. That's like it starts to get into my mouth, which this is. I was actually just thinking today that I wanted to trim my beard. And the mustache is what triggers the beard trim. Just about every single time. Oh, how's everyone doing? I feel like there's been a fair bit going on in the ARPG space lately, which has been great. Really should be looking for a new weapon here. I realized this last time that I've just been like just sitting on this thing. Like it's a few levels under. Maybe I can actually no, it's got 0 forge potential. I'll do that. Do any of these things? Oh, it's got a little. Yes, crit, super useful for us right now. Poison damage. Oh. All right. Just take this crit multi and crit chance amulet and put it into poison damage and dot damage. It's so good. Okay. Yeah, toxic is right. Oh, that's great. All right. Oh, there he is. Yeah, Fitz is here. Welcome. All right, first question. Any ETA about when you guys are sharing more news about the next cycle 1.1? Can't wait to stream or new YouTube video. Yeah, so there's we're still a little ways out, so we've shared like when it's coming, which is July 9th. I think like 90% sure that's what it is. If I'm wrong, please just see the video that we already did. I think that's right. Anyways, as we get closer to that, we'll have a lot more stuff. I do have a couple teasers today. You know, like every week we do little teasers here. but like an official like big splashy video of like big epic stuff and like all like lots of info and big posts, all that sort of stuff. Probably gonna be a little while before we actually get into one of those. I don't have anything that big for you today. I'm sorry. And yeah, so if anyone does have any questions, please put at Last Epoch Game into the chat, so we know that it's a question directly for me and not for just everybody else. Because you're welcome to chat amongst yourselves too. All right, next one. I believe you are working on some kind of engine update, right? Yes, we are. If so, what improvements should the updated engine bring to the game? Thank you. I mean, so it's a lot of things that are completely invisible to the player. So it's a lot of things that are like that will help us just help our workflow. There's a lot of things that are just like, oh, now we can do things faster, or there's a little bit better memory management, or a lot of things that like don't feel like they'd be very important, but they have a lot of knock-on effects that you'll eventually see down the road. There's also just new technologies that we can incorporate after we add those in. So things like I don't know if these are, I don't have a timeline or anything like this, but for example, things like FSR is not available in the current version that we're on, and we have to update to gain access to it. So like things like that. Yeah. There's other projects we've been working on that I can't really tell you about yet. That we're like, well, we can't do that until we update the engine. And then once we start working on that, we'll be like, okay, is this possible? Like, what else do we need to do? There's a lot of things that work together there. Impossible. Kind of vague answer, sorry, but yeah. Can we start with an item taking up the screen? To start with that, no. That'd be pretty funny though. I actually almost did that too, because I was setting up the teasers for stream, and like I almost like I almost hit like, well, I actually was live with the like preview thing setting up the teasers, and I almost hit switch over with the teasers, all of them like stacked on top of each other, still on screen. Which would have been bad. Are all secret / Easter eggs known by the devs in game now found, or do we have some work to do pre 1.1? As far as I know, so this question got asked we did a lore stream about I want to say like a month and a half, 2 months ago, something like that. And right at the end of the lore stream, our lore master was like, "There's one Easter egg left that no one's found," and I'm pretty sure because that now has been found. Shout out to I think Perry the Pig was the one that found it. I don't know if he was the first one or not, but that was the first video I saw on it. So I think, as far as I know, all of the Easter eggs that are currently in the game have been found and are well documented. It is possible that I'm missing one, but I really don't think so. Like, I'm quite confident that there's nothing extra missing still. I can't remember where I was going to go with this. Just more damage. Yes. We want to land, and we want vines when we land. Vines. These guys are doing this like bleed is just insane. Alright, having recently played another RPG that changed their gem drop to an auto loot currency, I really felt what you meant, but with the weight. Oh, I'm just not paying attention. My hands aren't even on the keyboard. I really felt what you meant with the weight of the affix shards. Thank you for considering the impact for systems. You're welcome. It's like these are we're quite cautious when we automate things. And who knows, maybe we'll automate more things in the future. We still keep an eye on feedback for all sorts of things, even if something that like it seems like an old system or something like that, we still keep an eye out for feedback. Either way. Are there any improvements to multiplayer that you can talk about, performance or gameplay wise? I mean, yeah, like there's always tons of little things that are kind of boring to talk about. This is something I mentioned recently of like, oh, there's some tiny improvement to memory management, or you know, like it doesn't make for very flashy announcements, but they end up having nice gameplay implications. There were there's you know, like there's also things we're investigating. Like we're investigating a timing issue right now that, you know, might be the cause of some rubber banding stuff, and you know, like there's it's a lot of boring stuff, but like we're definitely working on improving the overall multiplayer experience. So that's like the time it takes to load things, the frequency that you have to end up in loading screens, how smooth gameplay is, how clear gameplay is when you're in a multiplayer setting. There's all sorts of little things that we're always just like tweaking and updating. Like that. So yeah, that's all in the works right now. Ooh. I think I don't think I actually want Warcry here, or if I do, I want to be Warcry Totem, but like I'm really looking at Frenzy Totem, looking ahead to Frenzy Totem right now. I think that's where we're gonna go. I remember something that felt really fun in Diablo 3 was having random people join up with you while you're running content. Yes, having you guys considered possibly adding a way for people to make their lobby public, so people can freely join them if they want. I know people can talk and chat and party up, but how do you feel about taking out the middleman for people who want to group up with randoms? I mean, like, I think overall it's a fantastic idea. It is something that we've considered in the past. It's quite an involved system to add. I would say it's in the category of on the table but not in development. Because yeah, like there's having it be having a system like that be opt out can end up putting players in a tricky situation, new players in a tricky situation. Because you know, there's even if you try and prevent it, there's always forms of griefing that can happen. And you know, sometimes there's you know, like that's an intended game mechanic, and that's like part of the game that's fun. That's not one of the intended game mechanics we have, so we kind of have to be a little bit careful not to accidentally put one of those in. You don't have to, I just don't want to. All of the dots. Just getting pummeled by dots here. That was close. I think it'd be really cool to have a system. I'm just realizing this now as I'm playing them. I think it'd be really cool to have a system where, like minions could like get together and like help revive another one, or like stabilize it so like the bar didn't go down or something like that. I think that'd be cool. Are there any uniques you felt like that really missed the mark in terms of design, and alternatively ones you really nailed it out of the park? Yeah, there's definitely. You know, that happens all the time for sure. Both of those things, and I think frequently we will go back and edit things and update things to like to hopefully bring them into the latter category there. You know, there's some uniques that I think from day one have really done well, like Exsanguinous. I would call it as a unique that really hit the mark thematically and gameplay wise. It does really well. It is part of a very overpowered strategy right now, but that's not the unique item's fault. And so yeah, like there's a few of those like that are like that feels, it really evokes that feeling. It ends up being like a cornerstone of a build. Those feel really good to me. So like Herald of the Scurry I'd put in that category. And then, you know, like there's like some like thematic ones that are just fun, like Keeper's Gloves. This one I think, this unique I think is really actually a great unique, even though it's not super powerful. People aren't like clamoring to find it. It's not like a big ticket item or anything like that, but it's a really I think this is a well-made unique because it is it's really quick to understand. It's really obvious what it does. It also just like it feels, it's concise and it gets the point across, and I don't know, it's fun. I really like this unique. Uniques that miss the mark. Most of the time we've actually gone back and changed them so they're like things that don't miss the mark quite as much anymore. I would suggest, think what comes to mind, like Snowblind comes to mind. That one really missed the mark. Yeah, that's the only one that's coming to mind right now. But yeah, like, there's Decayed Skull. What else? Yeah, not kind of blanking a bit here, but yeah, like there's definitely lots in both those categories. What upcoming feature are you currently working on, and was already announced in the roadmap? Are you looking forward to the most, and which one do each you think is the most important to the game? Wow, lots of things there. So, what upcoming feature are you currently working on? I am, like a lot of bug fixing right now for me. That's kind of all I've been working on lately. It's just bug fixing, which is great. I'm working on. I've also been working on lately the is it on the road? Yeah, Harbinger, Nemesis, and Pinnacle Boss systems. What am I looking forward to the most on the roadmap that I was currently? I mean, I always look forward to the things that are like, that we're actively working on and are like coming soon. But the one that I think I'm actually looking forward to the most is like the least explained one on there and the farthest one out, which is the on 1.4, the one that like the picture of 1.4 is probably what I'm most personally excited about. And what do I think is the most important? I think the most important is just all the endgame updates that we've got, and that's why basically every single one, literally every single one of those patches, the 1.1 through 1.4 patches, they all have an endgame element to them. Yeah, so I think the endgame element to each of those is the most important ones. Will there be new supporter packs in Cycle 2? Maybe some more packed than current ones. I don't think there's new supporter packs in 1.2. I think the new 1.1. I think the new supporter packs are coming a little bit after that. I'm not 100% sure though. There are new MTX coming in 1.1 though. When you guys add the barbarian class, can you make Mike the character model? I would love to, but I don't want to suggest that it will be or won't be coming, or be its own class or a master class or any of those things. It's all possible still. But I think barbarian is an archetype that we've not dived too deep into. It's sort of that like just that brute class that's just Hulk smash. Here we go. And I think there's lots of fun design space there still for us someday. Alright, any new changes when playing with people in 1.1, specifically towards increasing corruption for everyone in the party? There are, yes. It's not quite as simple as just like corruption shared. It's like we're utilizing existing systems to let players progress their corruption as they with a little bit more control when playing in a party. than just no. So a lot more control than just no. All right, how many resources would you say allocated to upcoming updating very old skills and masteries? I'd say 1.1 is relatively, compared to like 1.0 and you know what future patches will be. I'd say 1.1 is relatively light on the resource allocation for skills and updates, but there's still quite a bit. Skills and masteries is a pretty big part of our pipeline in general. Like it touches on basically every pretty well every discipline that gets impacted by those. So it is quite adding any new skill is quite a lot, and we aren't adding any new skills in 1.1, which is why I say relatively light, because this is going to be the first patch in a long time that we haven't actually added a new skill. But we will be back to adding new skills quite quickly, so no need to fret there. Will there be some cosmetics for druid forms or necromancer minions? Not in 1.1, but yes, there will be. So those are all skills, and skills will be getting cosmetics. So yes, they will be getting them, but it's not quite ready yet. Skill cosmetics are not coming in 1.1, but once we have that system sorted, and we'll start pushing out skill cosmetics for all sorts of skills, which will include transform abilities and minion abilities too. You can see the we put this down here to kind of signpost, like, it's coming. They're gonna happen, just not yet. You're just popped. All right. Aside from minor bug fixes, any patch plans before the new cycle starts? No. But between now and patch, it's gonna be like, another singularity. It's gonna be we actually could possibly, we're not doing hit damage really, but almost do that. Yeah, between now and 1.1, the patch notes you'll see will be for things like will be for things like, there was some bug that showed up that we had to fix because it was causing problems. That's kind of about it right now. As we're developing, and we get to the point where we get farther and farther down the line of development from the current live version of the game. It becomes more and more difficult to make changes to that specifically. At the same time, as the head gets further detached, it becomes more difficult to make changes efficiently, and it becomes to the point where it's just like, well, it's going to take so like the dev time goes up, the dev time requirements go up, the cost goes up as you get farther and farther down the line to make changes that actively go to live at the same time as they go to the development branch. It's not huge for a lot of things, but if the change is affected by any other changes you've made, then you have to make the change twice and consider those changes that have been made. So it just gets messier and messier and messier the farther you get from the current live version on the updates you're making. Can you touch on the thinking behind not letting our very expensive stash tabs transfer to Legacy once the season ends? It sets a precedent that would mean you'd end up with someone. There's the extreme edge case that you have to consider that just makes it impossible. So you've got 200 max stash tabs, period, right? You've purchased 200 stash tabs in Legacy. You've purchased 200 stash tabs in Cycle. Rollover happens. What happens? We're not going to 400 tabs, so they've got to be remove only tabs. right there, we've got to just leave it. And if we're talking about, I didn't quite read the whole. I may have misread the question. So if you're asking about whether or not your cycle tabs can stick around for the next cycle, I think it. Oh no, it is legacy transfer. Okay, sorry. So it is specifically for legacy transfer. The cycle rolling over is specifically because we want everyone to start from scratch. Thank you, Vince, for the post-paste like that. But yeah, it is, to keep the playing field for new players, because it is a game mechanic. It's not because it is purchased with in-game currency. The cycle has to start from scratch for everyone, which I know wasn't the question, but just adding that on to it. All right. Will you eventually add anything to the store that can be used by offline players too? Maybe we'd really like to. We're still working out if that's possible. It's unfortunately not available at the moment. Maybe. If some specs are currently underperforming, will you make some of them intentionally a little overpowered in the upcoming cycle to entice players to play them, or do you want 100% balance? We never make anything intentionally overpowered, but we also don't want 100% balance, because if everything's completely equal, then nothing's any good. Everything's terrible. Like there's the flip side to that. If everything's good, everything's also bad. So we never strive for, and it's also impossible to get to 100% perfect balance anyways, unless you take away all the cool stuff. So it's kind of like we try. Our goal is to get to very good balance, but our goal is never 100% balance. Which 1.1 feature have you playtested already? Which 1.1 feature you have playtested already are you most excited about? It's a good question, actually. I think the obvious answer is the Pinnacle boss, but I really love the Nemesis system, so I'm going to say that. It's woven together, so. You should do a collab with Universal Pictures and add a boss Cocaine Bear, or one with Sci-Fi and add roaming boss Sharknado. It just, Cocaine Bear and Sharknado, they both exist on Earth. This is on Eterra. The logistics of flying them here, it just doesn't, I don't know how you could really sell that too well. I don't see how that's possible. It's a fun idea. Whoa! Right. Will all gear 3D models be adjusted to their 2D models in 1.1? No. And if not, when do you plan to do it? Thank you for your answer. So it's not a matter of, hey, we're going to go and do all of these all at once. We are updating them, and we are adding more 3D models. So some of them will get new 3D models added in 1.1, just as they did in 1.0, as they did in 0.92, as they did in 0.91. So we add more every patch. It's just it takes so much longer to add a physical 3D model for an item than it is to just add the item itself into the game. And we really love adding new uniques, so we're kind of terrible about having enough about giving modeling enough time to catch up. So we're gonna keep adding items at a faster rate than we're adding the models themselves, at least for now, anyways. So you'll still see items that don't have exact one-to-one models, but we are working on it. We are adding more of them every patch. So it is an ongoing process that we will continue to do as we go. So. Vines! Should have done that earlier. Quite a few vines up. Sorry if this has been asked before. That's quite alright. But any plans of changing leveling curve? it's fun to level 80 and it's just too much, not casual friendly. Well, so I mean, we don't have any major plans to adjust the leveling curve. We're quite happy with where it is right now. The game is not intended for most characters to hit level 100. Max level is not an expected result. Max level is an extra stretch goal achievement that if you really want to push your character and really want to like dig in and go hard, you can get to max level if you want. But max level is not intended to be something that most characters do at all. Even people I know that play thousands of hours, most of their characters never hit level 100, and I think that's really a good thing, and it's not something we're planning on changing. Level 80, you say you hit around level 80, and that's when things start to slow down for leveling. That's really expected, and most of your character improvements, once you're hitting that level, are coming from your gear upgrades. That's where the bulk of your power is coming from at that point, and that's really very much by design, and will continue to be that way. What's the trigger for baby scorpions? I can't remember. Oh, it's just overtime. Do we have any? Oh, there. Yeah, there's some popping out. Wonderful. Oh gosh. Oh no, it's lighting up. Is that bad? Oh jeez, Rick.
This is quickly. And that should do it. This waypoint's harder than I anticipated. But no worries. All good now. Just in time. Looks like we've got company. Anyway, off you go. I'll see you on the other side.
Sure you will. Absolutely holding my breath. Praying to whatever god you marry me, I believe, to see the Clockwork Tinkerer, i.e. engineering class. I'd love an engineering class. I think it'd be super cool.
Hopefully, I will see you soon.
Engineering class would be sweet. So there are a lot. This is a little aside here, not specifically talking about engineering class here, but there are a lot of like class archetypes that I know I've thought about when you're just idly musing about what we're gonna do and that sort of stuff, and several of them have like, or I'll be like, oh, I really wish I could add a class that did this. I can't fit that into any of the existing base classes, and I can't think of 3 masteries to go with it. And it's such an awkward position to be in, where you're like, it's such a great archetype, but it's just like, is it a little too far different from other things that you could conceivably put with it? So that's a struggle we have sometimes. At least I have struggled with that when I'm thinking about new classes and new archetypes to build in. So sometimes you're like, okay, do you try and then slip that archetype in as like a unique item that sort of like transforms the vibe and the feeling of a skill or something like that? Do you try and slip that in as all sorts of, yeah. Never mind. I'll get back to real questions here instead of just rambling. Do you guys talk about having a evade, edit the question here, having an evade thematic for each class? Yes. I'm afraid that mage or acolyte dodge rolling, which is evade, if it's physically rolling, might be a little awkward. Yes, which is why we call it evade, not roll. Any notable changes in dungeons coming in the next cycle? Is that coming next cycle? That's the real question. Yeah. I want to say yes, but I can't remember if it's next cycle or not. So I'm going to say maybe, and we'll come back to that later. On another day. But yeah, there are certain elements of dungeoneering that aren't smooth. The UX of that process is not awesome. There are use cases that are not represented well, and things can be clunky. You can find yourself in situations where you feel like you're performing a task that ends up feeling like a bit of a chore. Sometimes you can feel a little bit too harshly punished, and so there's definitely some adjustments we want to make to the dungeon system, and we've got some of those planned earlier than others. I can't really go into details on what that is yet, but we are definitely looking at adjustments for the dungeon system, because we do get a significant amount of feedback on that, and it is something that we really want as a system in general to thrive going forward, because it is a system that we want to add on to. We want to add on like new dungeons that have new keys, new skips, new unique rewards, things like that. So there's quite a few things that we see as pretty common suggestions from our community that I'm like, that would go really well as a dungeon reward. But we've kind of got to fix the underlying mechanics of dungeons and the flow and the feel of that experience before we tack too many onto the game still. But we are like that system will expand, and the I must use the term that I hate to describe what we're doing to it, but yes, we are improving that UX of it. Aaron trying to cheat at bingo, I think. Maybe we'll see. Is keyring coming in 1.1? I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so. It's not implemented yet. I'll say that. And on our dev builds, we do not have a keyring. Weekly request for transmog, please. I mean, it's on the roadmap. 1.4. Is it difficult to balance every spec so they all can compete in content? Absolutely. One of the worst things for me as an ARPG player making a spec that I can't compete in an aspect of the game, be it pushing dungeons or bossing. Yeah, so I think there's there are some elements that a couple of the masteries have been able to dramatically exceed the expected activities on, which I think can make the other ones that are doing quite well and are in the expected range to not feel as well by comparison. I know you're working on character customization. Vaguely, yes. Will it include female / male body choices for all classes? We will, when we eventually do start getting into character customization, very far away still, it will include body type as one of those, one of the things you can select in those options. So like you want like a big hulking, large frame, or like smaller frame, like there's the things like that will be part of that character customization when we do eventually get to it. I don't know exactly how it's going to be explicitly worded. But short answer, yes. We have Balthus and Gaspar. Might we soon see Melchior make an appearance? Maybe? I don't know. That would be a question for Lore Master Cal next time we do a lore stream. Will there be Steam achievements at some point? Absolutely. We are... wasn't paying attention at all. We are planning on having Steam achievements added into the game. It's gonna be a little while still, I think. But yeah. Weekly character sheet reminder. Weekly character sheet reminder. I'll haunt you till the day I get it. Yeah. We're working on it. Like there's little updates that are happening on it still, but the full extended character sheet with like, skill specific stuff like that is still It's still in the conceptual phase. We did just hire a dedicated UI developer, so we'll have more UI stuff will be getting worked on by someone much better than me in the future. The big piece that's holding that that specific feature up, though, is more the data required to populate it with is we still have a great way of generating all that data really accurately. And when we do eventually add that, we kind of want that data to be pretty accurate. Which I know might seem kind of weird. So much stuff is populated on the fly. Just because there's so many options and so many ways things can be specialized, a lot of it's generated on the fly. All right, on the upcoming cycle, there, I think it's will be any balance changes to Paladin Healing Hands. I have enjoyed so much that build. I played 105 days straight. Great game for that. Yes, I mean, if there's something that's pretty obviously, significantly overpowered or significantly underpowered, or something that is pretty obviously like not just doesn't feel well to play, there's probably a good chance there's going to be updates to it coming in the next patch. Healing Hands, this was 1.0 was the very first patch that Healing Hands came out in. So yeah, there's a I would say a better than even odds chance that there'll be updates to Healing Hands. Look at that, 60 some odd stacks of poison. Petals, get the torch. That was a mistake. Oh well. We'll stash some stuff until then. It's useful for us in this build, actually. No. What is your stance on some classes using so many of their skill slots for passive skills? For example, Paladin usually used up 3 for passes, 1 for movement, 1 for attack. Many others are similar. That makes the combat a bit stale. Oh, yeah, I mean, we do... I think it's very natural for people to make builds that way. You know, like, we frequently put nodes in like passive tree and skill trees. We frequently know it's a good example of this in great example in Sentinel off the top of my head. Okay, well, in Sentinel there's a node, I think it's right here. It's one of these 2 spots in Sentinel. And it basically says, like, whenever you connect with a 0 cost melee skill, you get health and mana back. And it turns all of your spammable melee skills into mana generators that you can then take a bigger mana ability and drop that into the build. So you have a mana spender and a mana generator. So, like, you know, like we do put things in the game to incentivize using multiple abilities. We'll put tie-ins between melee abilities and things like different attack abilities that you know. I think we do push the use more skills more often, and I think that adding evade to the game is going to actually help open that up a little bit more as well. Also, there's a poll going on. Oh, the poll just ended. Wonderful. Ooh, that was tight. Were there only 17 votes in the poll? Oh, I should have announced that poll. Okay, well, we did it. I should have said it out loud. There's way more than 17 people watching, but that's okay. Well, next one we'll get more people in on. We have a winner for our next for our teaser. We got another one, don't worry. I'm just gonna make sure I gonna double check and make sure I picked the right one. Yeah, we're doing Forge Guard. Let's make it a little bigger. Shall we? Shall we? Boom. All right, so we've got a new node for Javelineer. Throwing attack critical multiplier plus 10% per point, 6 points available in the node. This is a little a 40-point passive, so this is above the lock line, so it's Forge Guard specific. You can't get this on anyone else. And then it has a threshold node for a 4-point bonus. Your throwing attacks have additional base critical strike chance per 5 points of dexterity. Throwing critical chance, yeah, 1% per 5 points of dexterity. That's base crit chance, which is a lot. I'm just gonna, if I shrink this down and I slip it over there, can people, is that good or bad? Putting it over there. Not great. Too small, I'm assuming. A little bit more visible. All right, we're gonna keep going. Questions. I just saw one from a new chat. When's the next big patch? July 9th. All right, talking about archetypes. A beekeeper should be a thing. Maybe with Spriggan. Yeah, so the more I want to say memey builds. We're a little bit conservative when it comes to memey builds. Like meme with a Y, not meme. I mean meme. Yeah, anyways, meme builds were usually a little bit more conservative on the power level 4. There's definitely no shortage of ideas for bee themed things to come into the game. So. These are awesome. What? I mean, we're kind of playing the bee build right now. We've got our bees and our bee friends. We've got all sorts of bees. All right. Will you revisit older classes to make them up to par with newer classes when it comes to skill interactions, etc.? Warlock, Ringmaster, Falconer are on a whole other level than, for example, Sentinel. Yeah. I mean, we update every time we update an old skill. One of the things we definitely try to work in is inter-skill interactions. So like when you use A, what happens to B, things like that, or you know, like sometimes they're less explicit. So sometimes it'll be like it grants you a whenever you use this ability, it grants you a melee buff, but it's like a spell. So like it, you know, things like that. So we try to do specific and generic skill interactions whenever we update skills, and we are constantly updating old skills. So like I said, there's no new skills coming in this patch, but we are updating old skills, and we are adding new interactions. Yeah. Sometimes those come in the form of, passive nodes, skill tree nodes, unique items. Sometimes they're, there can be, those things can come from all sorts of places that don't really feel like they're the obvious place to put them always. Sometimes it's as simple as like moving an affix from a prefix to a suffix, and that like opens up a new interaction. Or sometimes it's like adding a new suffix. Like we just added some new weapon suffixes that I think open up some new options in 1.0. Yeah. All right. The rune of removal seems to me the least fun rune to use. 1 in 4 chance of removing the T67 affix, and normally eats up a huge amount of fortune potential when you do succeed in removing the affix you want. Is there any chance of reworking this rune? I don't think so. It does provide a very specific and powerful function. So I think the core style of what it does and what it costs is likely going to stay roughly pretty similar. Maybe it's possible that the fortune potential cost is a little too high, or maybe it's possible that there needs to be some way to influence if it's a prefix or a suffix or something like that. And I've seen lots of suggestions along those categories from our community. But like the general idea of how it works and the power level that it's at, we're very happy with that because it is quite powerful still. There's this is something I talked about last week a little bit too. There's a danger in increasing the control, like the specific granular control that you have over an item too much. It can leave an expectation of like what you can do to it. Like sometimes there's like too many steps you have to take to make the item good, and so we're really trying to make sure we find that balance. And if it's expected that you can always like use removals to like get specific affixes off or something like that, then it's just like like craft an item from scratch doing whatever. Sometimes we really like having those items on your journey to like super endgame content. Those items where you're like, this is a sweet item, but like it's got a one-way set affix on it, and like so there's like a really clear and obvious upgrade path for that item. So you're not always just jumping right to the end, and you have those stepping stone items that you do find. There's that frenzy totem. We're gonna switch that out. I think that's gonna be our last ability. We're just gonna try it.
Right. If it weren't for you, I'd still be in the Dreadnought. Or worse, I'd be making friends with Zarek's victims.
Wouldn't be as pretty. All right. What are your thoughts in regards to... I just realized my audio I've been mucking about with... Oh, sweet. Love it. What are your thoughts in regards to COF unique explosions? I feel it diminishes the excitement of finding a nice item because drops are very condensed in time. Going through 20 helmet drops to see if a good one feels like a job. Yeah, I think when we added in the like significant, like adding in trade was a huge power spike in item acquisition, and we kind of had to give COF a lot to even be relevant. I don't think it's quite... I think you've identified a problem that we are looking at ways to help alleviate. I think there's... Because of the huge amount of drops that happen all at once with COF, it does put pressure on the filtering system to be more granular and to allow more specific filtering to happen for unique items. I think that will alleviate some of the pressure there. There's other changes we're looking at making as well in the item factions in general that I think will help as well. But yeah. We're still working on some of the things we're changing on that for 1.1, so it's kind of hard to talk about yet. Sorry. But yeah, there's definitely an issue there. Could we get some quality of life improvements for searching inside of Stash for factions? or 4 factions before Cycle 1.1. Before Cycle 1.1? No, I'm sorry. Will the Ultimate Edition upgrade always be available for purchase? We don't have any plans of removing it. Always is a long time. I would say if we are ever planning on removing it, there'd be a pretty big like it's going away on this date type of announcement. Like if you want it, here's a big lead time advance to be like, you know, it's going away or something like that, or maybe we try and like incorporate the things so they weren't gone forever type thing. We know there's we don't want it to be a it's not designed as a time gated thing. It's not like a get it while it's here type of offer where it's you know, designed to be a very long term thing. Can we please remove the bound to faction mechanic, at least for Legacy, please? No. Do you talk about possible housing / hideout feature? We have talked about this in the past. The TLDR of what we've talked about in the past, I guess, is kind of like we aren't really super interested in adding a new zone to split people up too much and get people out of, you know, some more shared zones possibly. At the same time, it does provide, you know, like it's fun. You know, like that alone is usually enough to just get something into the game. It's just fun. I think having a way to maybe customize something visually and share that off to like your friends or randoms that you group up with is a really positive experience. Having a reason to go to whatever that location is important, and because I think that one of the, like, if we're gonna like let's look at PoE as an example. They have a great hideout system that's, you know, there's so much customization that can happen there, and it's awesome. And one of the ways that you get people to go there is through the trading system. Our trading system primarily revolves around a separate third-party zone that you don't have. It's async, so you don't have to be there together. You don't go to the person's zone, so you wouldn't be forced to, or incentivized, I should say, to travel to their specific area to show it off and share and all that sort of stuff. So it's a little less special. I think there's probably ways we could do it. There's probably room for it. When it's not something we're focusing on right now. Sorry if it's an S4, that's okay. But are there any plans to implement FSR and DLSS? Yes, this is what we talked about earlier. This is one of the things that is required to do an engine upgrade to make work. So we are in the middle of that engine upgrade right now. It's going to be a while still. You know, like this is not a 1.1 thing. I can tell you that for sure. You know, if it goes absolutely perfectly and like everything from here on out is just like, oh, it works, which it won't. I'd still be surprised if it was even 1.2 type thing. You know, so we're a little ways off still from it, but it is something we are still working on. Would you agree that Ward is overpowered at the moment? Yes, I've said so many times on stream. I'll say it again. Ward is overpowered at the moment. Is there any plans to make more detailistic item inventory view, that items in inventory look bigger and more detail like in D2 and PoE? Oh, like I know what you're saying. Sorry, I got it. Like a dressing room type thing, like a change, like a wardrobe where you can like see like a big picture of what it looks like and like rotate it, like kind of like the character select screen actually does, I guess. Not specifically, no, but yeah, it's possible. Right, without spilling any details, are there any changes we could expect to loot filter functionality for 1.1? Yes. Yeah, there are updates to loot filter coming in 1.1. Is there any channeling? I will also. There's something that we wanted to change the loot filter 1.1 that didn't work and is not getting in 1.1, but we're still working on it for later. So any changes that do come in 1.1 loot filter are not the last changes to 1.1. Are not the. It's not done. We're gonna keep updating it and keep expanding it. And there's pressures from other systems will cause us to have new design changes that we decide to make as well in the future. But yeah, it is evolving and growing still. Is there any channeling build update rework to resemble D4 Lightning Storm or Incinerate like builds for channeling enjoyers? I haven't played those builds in D4 yet, so I can't say specifically with relation to that, but we do have changes specifically to some channeling skills, and other similar skills that have other similar issues too. Channeling, you may notice that our most recent channeling ability plays a lot better than our old channeling abilities. Ghost Flame. Is that what we called it? Is that what we ended up calling it? The new Warlock one. It was called Ghost Flame for a while. It's not still called Ghost Flame. I'm blanking on the new name. Heard Fitz, thank you, appreciate it. Good luck. I'm assuming you can still hear me, but maybe not. I can't type in there. Okay, cool. Answering questions, that's what I'm doing. Channeling abilities, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, so yeah, we are looking at channeling abilities. And they'll be I don't want to go too high on the changes that are being made there, but yes, that is something it is being looked at in general, and we're still working on how best to update channeling abilities. Probably the best way to say that. All right, can we expect more changes to mastery passives, like more thresholds? Yes, you can. As you can see right here, more threshold nodes are coming to classes that don't have a ton of threshold nodes. All right, will cycles contain content and core systems, or will you begin implementing cycle-specific mechanics in order to test new experimental features in the future? The first few cycles, at least, we do plan all of the features that you see in the first few cycles are being designed as core cycle or as core game mechanics right out of the box. So these are things that we're like, this is going to be a core mechanic, and we're designing it as a core mechanic, and we're like that's the plan with all these the at least the early on ones we're doing. Sorry, people are sending me messages. We do plan on having cycle specific mechanics in the future. I don't know when that's going to start. So like, as an example, we've even looked at having temporary time gated mechanics in the poll we sent out recently. I don't know if the poll finished. I don't know what we're doing with the results on that. I hope we can share some of those results. We'll see about that later. But yeah, like, so we with our announcement, last big announcement went out. We did also send out a survey to like find out what people want to do with time gated mechanics, temporary time gated mechanics, permanent time gated mechanics for cycle content. So yeah, that's all on the table, and we're very open to feedback on what people want. All right. Are there more graphical improvements coming along the way that are similar to the difference between 0.9 and 1.0? 0.9 to 1.0 was a big 0.90 to 1.0 was a big jump. I mean, we're definitely still working on it. There's definitely updates coming. I don't know if we'll see a jump that big anytime soon. But you know, like there's always stuff that's getting updated with the graphics and the visuals, whether that's from just as simple as like individual like weak points being addressed, like old VFX or old enemy models or animations that are lacking, or like sound effects and like all these things that are just like maybe for something we haven't worked on in a while, it's getting a little dated and we want to update it because we're just better at doing it now than we were when we did it. Giant system-wide updates are going to be fewer frequency than they were leading up to here type thing, but you know, we're still working on those things, and if there's a big breakthrough that happens, yeah, we'll implement it. Are you happy with the complexity, level of complexity of crafting, itemization, etc.? I'm happy that I don't need a PhD to actually be decent at crafting and such. Yeah, we do try really hard to make things like the what's the old adage, easy to learn, hard to master. So we want people who are you know, just hopping in to play with a friend for the campaign and never dive into Endgame at all. We want those people to be able to engage with things like crafting and make decisions on what items they want to wear and be happy with the results of those decisions. But then at the same time, we want players who have those 1,000 hours played and they're like, they know the game inside and out, and they're still able to you know, make those micro optimizations that help get them to just a little bit higher on the ladder and things like that. So yeah, we are really happy with where it is, and we are you know, still making little adjustments to that as we go. The depth to complexity ratio is something we take very seriously. All right, will you add adjustment / movement skill to Primalist because Fury Leap feels like flying with slow motion? Every class have good movement skill but Primalist. I would strongly disagree. I love the Primalist Fury Leap. But I mean, we're always open to feedback. So if you've got a suggestion for something you'd like to see, head to the forums. Curious about your thoughts on very basic skill nodes, which for example either give flat damage or flat chance to apply an ailment compared to more skill altering nodes. Do you feel like both types of nodes are important to have for most skills? Yeah, I definitely. And this goes right back to the depth complexity thing. So like just a node that just adds, I think just straight more damage nodes are something we try to shy away from, and something we've really been trying to remove. As we get more and more tools to add into abilities, we can have fewer and fewer of those. But you know, something as simple like just poison chance on an ability, like that doesn't seem like it isn't very complicated. It's actually very simple. But I think it can have pretty decent implications for character customization, and I think it's nodes like that are really important to have still. But like having a node on a tree that's like 8 points and it's just like 5% more damage per point, like that's boring. That is just boring. But you know, so we try not to have as many of those. But you know, if every single node is a novel, then the time to parse that tree and figure out what you want to do can be really taxing. So if you have maybe a node that's just like 20% poison chance per point, which I know is really weak, but just like, and you have that node lead into another node that like works with poison, like triggers off poison, or there's something more complicated that happens with poison. That base poison node before it acts as a really good indicator and signposter for you that like, hey, this is a poison area of the tree. And it synergizes with the other nodes, so you feel good about those decisions. And you know, I think it's those nodes are really important. And we've just got to, and I think we've been getting better at, and we've got to get even better at applying them well. All right. Do you have any plans to implement a way to make it easier for players to find / join and play with each other? Additionally, do you plan to implement the ability for shared progression in monolith completion? So party play UX is a very important topic and something that we are improving and working on. Direct monolith sharing progression is not really something that we're doing. Indirect monolith progression sharing is something we are exploring. So just a little bit more systematic and less just it's just happening to everyone, deal with it. Yeah. So we are exploring that a little bit more. As far as like getting people into the party to play together and things like that, it's a little lacking, but we are looking for that still. And we've got a wonderful oh, wow. Heavy, thank you for the resub. It is 3 years, 36 months in a row. Very lovely. Thank you very much. That's awesome. It's wild that there's people that have been here for 3 years already. I can't believe we've been streaming that long, and it's every time I see one of those pop up, it really it puts things it puts things in perspective a little bit with how far we've come, I think. So thank you very much. Glad you've been with us for the ride. Yeah, thanks. All right, here, flipping back to reading chat directly now. All right. I think I didn't miss any, but we'll see. From your perspective as a player, which class would you say needs the most help? Same question for your perspective as a dev. Ooh, I love that it's worded this way. So as a player perspective, class that needs the most help, I'm gonna say Forge Guard. As a dev, and this is just funny, kind of troll a little bit, but the class that needs the most help from a dev perspective is Rune Master. We'll just let that dangle. And thank you very much for ooh, I am not gonna pronounce this right. Good Illukil. Good God Illukil. I bet there's some capitalization there that makes it so much easier to read. And I feel like it probably means something that I'm just like ignorant and missing it. But that's okay. Thank you very much for the subs. That is 5 gifted subs to the channel. Congrats to anyone who got one of those. Happy to have you here. And also thanks to Arrowweird for, I guess, at the top of the stream, donating a sub to their community manager Kane. I always find it funny when they get a sub. So thank you very much as well. Alrighty then. I see like the hype train stuff pop up on the side, and I'm like, I have no idea what this means, but awesome. All right. What about letting us customize the camp in the monolith? We spend a lot of time there solo with the group. Someone suggested that a few weeks ago, and I was like, that's a really good suggestion. So maybe, who knows? From your perspective, it's that. Loot filter, bingo. Nice, got him. All right, that was early. That was a while ago, I think. Any plans for allowing the loot filter to do comparisons with gear we have equipped? No, there's a problem there, and sorry, we tried once already. Are you working on the character mode upgrade? Character mode upgrade. If I don't know what that is. If yes, when can we expect it? What classes is it going to update the most? Be updated the most? Wait, no one, please rephrase and ask again, because I have no idea what the character mode upgrade is. I'm sorry. I feel like I should know, and I'm just like, it's like a slightly different term for something. I just don't know it. Sorry. Hi, hope you and the Ichi team are all doing well. Just a broad question. We're doing pretty good, actually. Broad question, but any cool things coming for Totems in 1.1? I really enjoy Shaman Totem builds. Would love to see more Totems or updates to things. Upheaval Totem or Warcry Totem. I know there's a couple bug fixes I saw. I don't know if there's any like major changes to those things happening. Shaman is still on pretty high on the list in general. It's still missing a skill. Some of the skills that are there still not quite firing on all cylinders. Might be the best way to put it. So I can't say anything specific, but you know, I'd say that's a reasonable suggestion. I always forget this zone. You can't actually jump in it. This is the one I've been waiting for. Poison and venom. Any plans to make the prophecy rolling process less tedious / more targeted? I often spend 30+ minutes clicking reroll and mousing over visually similar prophecies to target something remotely specific. Um, I don't have any details on that available. There are some changes to how Circle of Fortune works in general, and like some of the tiers, like what you get at each rank and things like that, and how those interact with each other. We're still making adjustments to a lot of those, so they're not quite ready for sharing yet. But there's some stuff there. Dots. More dots. Many whelps, left side. We don't care about the departure as much. We want the destination. We don't care that much about flat. Mana cost. We like that. Ooh. Ooh, piece of candy. Have you considered playing the dev build on stream? Yes, I have. Too unstable? It's less about too unstable and more about just like there's a lot of things that we work on, and we'll like put a version into the dev build, and we'll say like, okay, like this is like really for testing, and we're really trying to like feel how does this feel and things like that. And sometimes they're things that are really awesome, but they end up not working for one reason or another. And if we did put them out there and then have to remove them, I might not feel very good. And curating a build specifically for like, and there's lots of placeholder stuff in there too, so it'll be like just like sometimes there's images we put in there that like are art for things that are like upcoming. It would add like it would add a little bit too much like dev time to make a version that was stable and bug free and spoiler free enough to play confidently, I think. But, maybe someday. Are there any combat feel improvements coming in 1.1? Yes. Is there a possible down the road to make dismemberment? That enemies shatter on death when they're frozen, that arrows stick into enemies when they're hit, and so on. Yeah, I mean, that style of stuff is all very much on the table. I can even say that one of those things is actively being worked on, actually. They're quite awesome when they work well, and are really not awesome when they don't work well, and are quite often pretty dev time expensive to make work. So that's the sort of polish and just like cool and awesome factor that it's that we're really looking to add into the game, the extra juice, the extra spice, and so it's things like that are on the table, and we're very interested in doing them. I most of the time wouldn't really expect many of those types of things, but we're working on it. All right, are there any plans for low FX graphical settings of some sort, for example, which would remove dead bodies, excess effects and projectiles, finally remove grass for good, etc., allowing people with lower specs to play comfortable FPS? Yeah, there's this there's sort of this like minimum fidelity that we do want the game to have. We are working on things like that. I don't want to make any promises because there are certain things that we very intentionally just like don't do because we want to hit that minimum fidelity tier, I guess, same thing. But it's on the list for especially because there's like we start looking at other platforms. So you know, like we've started looking towards like Steam Deck as an option, started looking towards other consoles as options too, and sometimes you can't, especially with things like Steam Deck, you can expect very specific power, but you can't expect high powered Steam Deck because it doesn't exist. Unless someone's like modded their own, which I'm sure someone has at this point. I wonder how locked down they are, or like if the OS is available, just like slap on some hardware if someone like gets in there. I don't know, that'd be cool. All right, if you could go back in time and not add something to the game you did, specific mastery, feature, whatever, what would it be? Ugh. That is such a hard question to answer. I have no idea. If I could go back and not add something. I don't know. I really like our game. I mean, like the cop-out answers are things like, I would not add features that we ended up removing to save time. But at the same time, like, you learn from those mistakes. And so, like, the game is probably better overall because of them. I don't know. Something I don't like now in the game that I want to... What's something that I want to remove from the game now? Okay, something that we are removing. I'm like... it's kind of a cheaty answer too, sorry. But the dynamic boss DR. Dynamic boss DR was a mistake of a system. I think it is a really important problem that it's trying to solve, and we are replacing it with a system that will hopefully solve that better. But yeah, dynamic boss DR. Any updates to lethal concentration? I don't know what lethal concentration. What's that? Maybe. Oh yeah. I feel like we were talking about this one recently, and I can't remember what happened with it. I don't think there's any major changes coming to it. But I don't remember. I'm sorry. It was in a discussion recently. Alright, low FX setting possible, moving... Oh, I already answered that. So we just doing the one teaser tonight? No, we'll do another one. Okay, really soon, probably do another poll, I think. Kane, if you haven't already planned it, there it is right there. There's a poll happening, perfect timing. If you want to see a teaser that is related to Mage, Shaman, or Void Knight, please vote now in the poll running in chat. Hopefully we get a few more votes than last time. We're already past last time. There we go. Awesome. I will say that I just want to show all of these so bad. I've seen them all, and I'm like, it doesn't matter which one you pick. They're all awesome. And you know, we'll eventually you'll see all these things at some point. Hopefully you don't have to wait all the way to launch. It's a tight race. Mage getting left in the dust. Shaman and Void Knight taking an early lead. They're fighting it out. Okay, we'll keep going on some questions until that gets resolved. Still got lots of time left on that poll. So if you haven't had a chance to vote, please do so. I will remind you again in a bit. Any possibility that the 1.1 patch will be ready sooner than the announced July 9th? No, I don't think so. I mean, there's always a chance, I guess, but because we've already made the date announcement, there's all sorts of planning and things that go into the date with localization and marketing, that moving those times up is really not feasible or smart. So I really would not expect it to come any sooner than that. All right, is your personal time account what class you play the most? In your personal time account, what class do you play the most, main, or do you play it all? I do play. I definitely play rogue the most of everything. That's like, I don't play a ton because I'm usually like, if I've got time to play, I've got time to fix bugs. But like if one of my friends wants to play or something like that, or if, I got a little spare time just to relax, I'll hop in and just play live sometimes. Yeah, I play rogue the most. On live, I have a blade dancer, a falconer, and a marksman on live that are all like through the campaign and endgame and stuff like that. But I don't have I only have one of the other classes. So yeah, rogue's the clear winner for me personally. Just like the playstyle, it's fun. Right. What are your thoughts on echo length? Rushing all the time feels bad. But that is really what they are about. Any plans for longer form content? Yeah, I mean I think people have been really clear that they like the bite-sized nature of echoes compared to because we've had longer echoes, and very consistently the longer echoes are the ones that get heavily negative feedback on them. Like it's every single time, and we shorten echo length, and people are like, yeah, it's great. I think what we need to have is organic reasons for people to stick around in an echo and consciously decide not to just move on to the next one. And we are definitely working on ways to do that. There's various things that will that we're still adding, things we've put in the roadmap that will extend your desire to stay in an echo because it's efficient, because it's fun, because there's cool things to find. So yeah. Are you planning? Get your vote in for that. There's like 20% of you that have voted. If you're fine with any of them, that's cool too. Right. Are you planning on having some bigger open map zones? Are you happy with the current zone layout / sizes? I mean, this goes back to what we were just talking about. I think there's room for some bigger zones in the campaign, especially. Where like it changes the gameplay flow and feel and all sort of stuff. I think there's possibly room for bigger zones in new in-game activities. I don't think there's really a ton of room for bigger zones in Monolith Echoes right now, which is the primary thing of what most people are playing. All right. Any updates on official Steam Deck support? We're working on it. That's about all I got. Sorry. All right, Shaman is the victor. I'll be sharing a Shaman teaser here. Center on screen and here we are. Here's a new Shaman passive node. Gift of the Skies. 8-point passive node, increased attack speed and cast speed 2% per point, plus 8 dodge rating per point, and a 5-point threshold node. When you directly summon a totem, it gains Frenzy for a short duration. Totem Frenzy duration, seconds 3. That's it. It's pretty sweet. Speaking of which, I have not been using my Frenzy totem like at all. Feels really good when I do use it though, my goodness. Okay, so note to self, use Frenzy Totem because it's great. At least in where I am now. And I fulfilled my obligation to keep playing the game with a teaser on the screen. Because, you know, like I do that intentionally now. It's definitely not an accident. Shove this down to the corner. You can play with that up still. All right. Do you also balance update based on popularity of the mastery spec? When we're triaging which bugs to fix, we don't reference the it's not like we go into the database and say, okay, how many people are playing this build at this level, like minimum, like who's got shaman to minimum this point, who's got rune master to minimum this point, to like check for popularity for which things to update or things like that. No, we don't do that. However, it kind of indirectly, yes, just because the things that people play more do have they get more feedback. People like to talk about the things they're playing. So, you know, if there's twice as many people playing one build than another, it will just get more attention, and we'll end up modifying it and touching it more, just because there's more data on it, there's more feedback on it, you know, all that sort of stuff. So naturally, organically, yes, but not intentionally, not directly. All right. Do you think no weapon builds will be viable in the future? I sure hope so. There's already one. Two, I think, actually. You know, it's the sort of thing that I'd really like to see some more creative ways to have weaponless builds. You know, like there's things that we've talked about on stream a lot before, like two-handed shield build, things like that. You know, like there's I think there's room for creative ways to do things like that. Just for the record, there's not two-handed shields coming in. Just to be clear, there's no plans for that. It's something that I'd love to see personally. Next question. I beg of you, share the Void Knight teaser as well. Keep a weather eye on the horizon. Alright, hi, I'm 39 years old. Hello! I'm also in my 30s. And I also have health issues. I can't stay seat on in front of the PC for more than 1 hour. So my question is, any plans to get can be playable on Steam Deck? I've tried a few times. After some seconds, the game crunches. Thank you. Yes, the game is. I think we were one of the top 2 played games on Steam Deck the month we launched. There are settings and ways you can tweak the settings to get Last Epoch playable well on Steam Deck right now. It is far from perfect and is technically not officially supported. It is something that we are working on. I don't have a Steam Deck, so I can't give you direct advice because I don't know the exact things. But I see this question pop up on Reddit quite frequently. And the general reply I see just posted over and over again is go get Cry Utilities and it will fix it and you'll be able to play no problem, and turn this setting on, I think Proton, and turn this other setting on and it works great type thing. There's a couple settings you gotta tweak, and it works well. There are a couple, I think there's a couple super mega intense endgame builds that will still cause it to have issues. But they're apart from some edge cases, you know, there's a lot of people that are using it and it's working well for them. Not perfect, and we are working on it. If you want more specific help with that, my advice would be go to Reddit, go to our Discord. There's an Ask the Community channel, and there's lots of people that are super helpful, and I'm sure one of them will be able to give you more directed and specific advice to get it working. And if you're not interested in doing that and just want to wait for the official version, we are working on it too. All right. Any progress on other accessibility options like colorblind options, etc. Yes. There's several accessibility sort of axes that we are looking at still, and slowly working on. We definitely want to have much better accessibility options than we have now. We definitely categorize accessibility options as a weak point for us right now. And to everyone who can't play because it's missing an accessibility option for you, I apologize. It is something that we are working on. I don't have any specifics on when those are coming, but we are we are taking steps to get that development rolling. That's something that we prioritized the core gameplay loop over the accessibility options going into 1.0, which if you need one of those, really sucks to hear, and I'm sorry, but we had to get the game out the door, and it's one of those things where issues that affect all players usually get prioritized over issues that affect a subset of players, and that's it goes for specific classes or specific skills or specific items compared to every single player, and it's the same type of prioritization that happens.
You should have seen you. Yeah.
I've heard of your power. Let's see how you face this. Who are you?
The poison 65, 67 I saw, I think. Not bad for campaign. Eep. Eep, 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 eep. It's me. So much damage. Really focus one of them down instead of flip-flopping. Got him.
Now's our chance.
Got him.
Pathetic human mistake. You think you can kill me? You think you can?
Enough! Can't use the lance! The lance of Herod. Where is it? Quickly! You here!
A little hiccup there. Probably 'cause I clicked out of the screen. All right. Welcome to the Divine Era, negative 12 BE. Looks like I missed a question. Going back to see what that is. Will you guys add more legendary weapons to change skills? Like adds 4 more projectiles and makes them shoot out in a circle, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, the way that our extra projectile system works, and all those things, they do need to be. It's very difficult for us to do generic versions of that. But yes, we've added. We're gonna keep adding unique items, and skill transformative unique items are some of the most popular and fun. So we're gonna keep adding those. Oh, Mike reading chat gets killed again. Are there plans to add cosmetics to the store at regular intervals, or is it on the back burner for now? Yes, we will continue to add new cosmetics to the store at the same regular intervals we've been doing, which is major patches, 3 to 4 months. Would a new weapon type, which can roll affixes that can affect allies, be interesting? I mean, yes. What is our... Oh, we did that fight with him with 0 necro res. That's funny. I feel like I really need to take a look at my gear. I feel like I haven't touched my gear in like 20 levels. Well, 43, yeah. I feel like I haven't done anything in so long, apart from that amulet that we crafted at the start of the stream. Any of these? Yeah, a little forging potential here, a little forging potential there. Let's... Union damage. Yeah, we'll take that. Intelligence. Eh. That ring is terrible for us. Why are we wearing that ring? No, little 0. Oh, we need to fix some of these so bad. Nice. we gotta replace some gear. I think we should probably go to the stash and like we've got some uniques that would probably be good. Our gear's falling off. Did I check my weapon for fortune potential? It's 0. More questions. Any teaser to share on your plans to make Ward not quite so OP? I can't share any details. This is one of those things that we're still testing numbers on it. It's something that it's a major balancing consideration that affects many builds. Like not just the mega OP ones. It affects the fair builds too. So we have to be careful in how we implement it. Might be good actually to replace these. Anyways, we are, you know, like we still got to get it in front of our CTs, get some feedback on it, you know, like do some iteration. So there's some design space that still needs to be done on that before we can really talk what we're doing there. It's I mean broad. You can like if we look at the builds that are problematic and what they're doing and how they're doing it, you can kind of get a general idea of like likely places to target. It's you know nothing crazy out of the box revolutionary for bringing down the power of Ward really. Thank you very much, Ortherion. Congrats, thanks for this up, appreciate it. Glad to have you with us. All right, next question. Haven't played in a while, but when I did, flat damage scale outclassed everything else, especially when it came to investment and return. These flat base damage, I guess, scaled skills were pretty few and far between. Have there been any updates on the balance of this? There's less sources of just straight flat percentage more damage. So percentage scaled modifiers like do have a little bit relatively better place in the game, I would say, but you know generally flat is still very powerful, and it's not very available, especially in like passive nodes and things like that. So you're still looking to primarily your weapon for that flat damage, which is really intentional and where we like it, where we want to keep it. How do you prioritize devs wanting to invent and improve existing features? Do you make time for those? Yeah, I mean, there's we have like a design team that drives the direction, the overall direction of how the game evolves and what gets added and stuff like that. You know, every once in a while, someone shows up with something. They're like, "I had this idea and I just had to throw it in." And you know, like it still goes through the review process and things like that, and you know, people still have to, you know, get their regular work done type thing. So you know, we don't have people going rogue that much on development stuff. But yeah, like there's definitely times where like myself and other people will be just like working on something, and you'll be like, "Oh, I've got an idea for this thing I could do," and you just like slap it in, and it's you know, it happens, and you know, so sometimes that does happen, but I think since probably 0.9 in that range. It's definitely happened less or less. We formalized a lot more of our development processes and things like that. All right, so with Pinnacle bosses coming, are you guys going to make things hard with small arena and big AoE problem, forcing players to do mechanics, or do you guys come up more interesting designs from the norm of RPGs? Say hi, Mike. How you been? Hi. I'm good, thanks. I can't. There is a fixed size arena. It's pretty big though. It's I think more to kind of I guess keep the fight focused in like a visual space. There's some new mechanics we've had to develop specifically for the fight, new functionality we've had to develop specifically for this fight. I can't really go into too much detail, but like, there's some old, some new, some interesting, some wacky, some expected, a little bit of everything. It's got variety. I caught up to chat. Awesome. Yeah, so if you have more questions, put at Last Epoch Game in chat, and I will do my best to answer them. Thank you, Air Weird. Gift this up to Quiet. Ha, congrats, Quiet. Well deserved. Just tuned in, not sure if someone asked this already. That's okay, but are we going to keep the current season's mechanics core? Yes, we are. Guilds, you like Circle of Fortune, but feels like Merchant's Guild. Auction UI and inflation is not really good for the game. So the major inflation that happened with Merchant's Guild was specifically due to a bug that happened. So you know, we are still reining that in for Legacy. But the fact that items we do have like ways to pull gold and items out of the economy that we are adjusting to be more aggressive in some situations and more dynamic in others are you know, I think we should be able to hit a nice sweet spot where that is that does consist nicely throughout Legacy cycle to cycle, and we will keep updating it as we go as changes are needed. But yes, they are core mechanics. All right. Any chance on PvP arena? I'd love to. We've talked about PvP a few times. It was one of the stretch goals on Kickstarter, so like it's been in the conversation for a long time. I think there's a good chance it'll happen eventually. We kind of tried to emulate a small fraction of the feeling of PvP a little bit in the limited arena that's already there, where you fight a player character style NPC. Oh yeah, I forgot about that node. Most important node ever. All right, how would you rate the current team morale? High? We've like, I don't know. I've never really felt we've had. I think we've been really lucky with, like, the circumstances around the game in general, which has made it pretty easy to have pretty high team morale. You know, we do try really hard to like keep our like development community you know, like fun and exciting and interesting, and you know, all the same sorts of things that we try and develop for the game, we try and develop for our development environment as well. I think we do a pretty good job of it. I don't talk to everyone every day, so you know, it's hard to tell exactly, but I think it's good. I think it's really good. I'm having tons of fun. All right. Will we see any updates to endurance for cycle 2? Potentially a little buff to compete with Ward. There's yeah, there's some stuff. There's some changes. Less on the like overarching systematic side and more on the specific side. I may have missed it, but our new leaderboard's confirmed for 1.1. I mean, every time we do a cycle like 1.1, 1.2, the leaderboards start over again. So yes. Are the old bosses getting some major improvements? Major? No. We're really focusing our well, kind of actually. Yeah, we're really focusing our efforts on the new content. When it comes to bossing, we have developed new systems and technology for. Okay, yeah, there are some big changes actually. We've developed some new systems and technology for bossing in general. So it does that does hit every boss in the game. But like individual adjustments to specific bosses, existing bosses are few and far between. And other stuff too. I don't know. It's hard to say some of these things without being like spoilers. But I know I'm not allowed to say yet. It's gonna be cool. Nailed it. All right. Any updates on set items? Not yet. Not yet. Set items are still waiting for their day to shine. If/when PvP is added, will there be PvP specific gear, or will it just be normal gear that's used for PvP? That's a great question, and one of the reasons we don't have PvP yet, because we don't have an answer to it. I think there's really good and bad things about both of those options, and it's really hard to tell which is the right thing to do. Maybe either. You know? PvP specific gear lets you like have a much more granular balance on PvP, which is really nice. But it also creates a I think a barrier to entry to try that we don't like. And it also doesn't feel, I don't know, it doesn't feel great when it creates another like subset of items that you don't want to find if you don't like. So you just like hate PvP, hate the idea of PvP. You're like, yeah, no matter what, I'm not going to PvP. I'm not a PvP person. Totally fine. And a PvP item drops, and it's just like it's another like, well, this item is literally useless for me. It does absolutely nothing. That sucks. And that already happens when you're like, if you hate minions or something like that, or you only play minions and a minion item drops or doesn't drop, you know, it's like there's already those moments, and adding more of those is not ideal. But at the same time, making the actual gameplay of PvP feel really good is probably more important. So then you like start to look at like, okay, well, you need to PvP to get PvP gear, and it puts this like barrier to entry on the like on PvPing. So you're like, okay, well, I'll go to play PvP, but like I won't have any PvP gear, and I'll just get my ass handed to me. It'll won't be any fun, and then you bounce off of it. So like,
We have much to discuss.
there's a lot of moving pieces there. So we've really got to figure out how it's best. Because this is one of the main reasons I never PvP'd when I played WoW, was because I don't know how it is now, but back then you needed PvP specific gear. And I didn't really have any, and I was like showing up to battlegrounds without PvP gear and being like, "Oh, this is sure fun. I'm getting my ass handed to me because I just don't have PvP gear. Great." So I didn't PvP much. Got into it later. It was a ton of fun. Love it. But you know, that was my initial experience with it. Okay, let's do a very quick. Yeah. Right? Right? Like that's good, right? Snowblind. That's the one I'm like, nah. Needs to be fixed. Catalyst. I forgot those catalysts. Don't care. So I've been playing Rogue, so it's all Rogue gear in here right now. And it's completely disorganized. It's probably something like this would actually be good. We don't need crits, right? Something like that might be nice, actually. Have I really been doing this without doing that? Am I that big of a noob? It really would seem that way, wouldn't it? Roll that? No. It's okay. I just know we're coming up to a lot of cold damage, so I'm like, just want to get that cold res up a bit. Doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Settings. Passives 1. Yeah, it's that, right?
Impossible.
All right, let's keep moving. We only have 3 minutes left in stream. Let's answer some questions. Oh, actually, I kind of want to go get. I'll start down this path. My bad if this has been asked before. That's okay. But any plans on clans for players being added soon? Not soon, but I think the conversation's warmed recently. Is visual clarity of player skill coming like MTX? What tones down skill effects, or at least options in game to help? Endgame visual clutter does become a problem right now. Yeah, it's something we're still working on. I don't think that's the sort of thing that we want to put behind MTX. So if there was, I think a bad situation, not like a oh my god it's the end of the world situation, but something that we would consider negative and would want to fix would be if people were buying specific MTX in order to play specific builds because you couldn't see properly without it. That would be a bad situation for us. That would be like, okay, this is something we do need to fix. So yeah, we are. That would be worse than it is now, I think. Which is sound kind of weird because it's offering a solution to the problem, but I think that would still be worse. I know we've been talking about ways to help with this because it is, especially you get into a 4-player party. There's some especially egregious builds right now that are especially popular that just you can't see anything. So it's an issue. We're working on it. You won't see huge changes to it in 1.1. Sorry, I didn't hear the answer. You planning any dismemberment or shattering on death when enemies are frozen like in PoE 2? I mentioned that there was a list you gave, and I said one of those things on the list is something we're working on. They're really difficult. You know, we like doing it, but no specifics. All right. Looks like we are getting real close to the end here. I'm just probably gonna get to the next waypoint and. All right, let's just finish off the questions we got here. Come now, you can spell something. We won't tell your boss, promise. He might be here. He might be watching. There will be a bigger info dump before the release, right? Weeks before? Yeah. We always do what we call Hype Week, which is the week leading up to major patch. We dump a ton of info and get the hype train rolling then. There'll probably be some other medium-sized stuff before then, too. Well, what if you talk to someone to get an intro for PvP? And they give you a starter PvP gear with a certain gear score that you are then queued against people with the same gear score, then upgrade the gear through PvP. Yeah. There's ways to solve these problems. I didn't mean to imply that this is an exhaustive discussion, just that it's a very big topic, and we've got to weigh a lot of the pros and cons for various things, and so we're still discussing all sorts of stuff. Are you guys going to nerf Ward? Yes. Ward as a mechanic is, in most situations, generally more powerful than non-Ward builds. The maximum potential, is a better way to phrase it. The maximum potential of Ward is higher than the maximum potential of non-Ward at the moment, and you know that we're seeing Ward-based builds get into situations that are significantly higher than we intend them to be able to get to. So yeah, there'll be some nerfs. There'll be buffs too. Every major patch there's nerfs and buffs, so hopefully something to just expect that from now on, I think. Would you ever consider a unique that has a small chance of turning an enemy into a bee? Yeah, sure, I consider it. It'd be fun. It's like sheep type effects are tricky to pull off. We've tried them a couple times. Hi, hope you are having a wonderful stream so far. I am almost done. I just heard about PvP gear. This is very hypothetical. Nothing's happening, to be clear. And was wondering about how putting in PvP gear vendor, you can buy gear then for PvP with the example tokens you get from PvP, but they're also droppable in PvE activities. Maybe. I was just musing about the topic, to be clear. Yeah. All right. That'll do it for us for this this stream. I'll be back same time, same place next week. I hope you had fun. I know I did. If I didn't answer your question, I apologize. It was not intentional. I'll be available to reach me in the Ask the Devs channel on our Discord. Happy to answer your questions then. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Enjoy some sunshine if there's sunshine where you're living right now. Ours is just coming out. I love it. Yeah, we'll go say hi to someone. Don't have up yet. Who's doing some cool stuff? Oh, let's go check and see how they done the bingo. Also, keep an eye out for possible other things to show up elsewhere.